Chapter 3.
I changed it.
I know, it's so bizarre that it goes back. It's one of the
Streamlabs.
strangest things.
Why do you do this to
Where does
me?
it even find that file? Anyway.
I will
Magical
fix
Theory
it.
Podcast
Oh, I
time.
can't fix it. Oh.
Fix it in post.
No, I
That's
can't.
a thing people
'cause,
say,
well,
right?
It's live.
Hi, Winnie, you're a good boy.
Winnie, you say hello to everyone.
Winnie, you gotta tell everyone about all your stories this weekend.
You have so many. Are you sleepy?
We had family visiting.
Yes.
And Winnie learned about them.
Yes.
But only barked at them a few times.
This improvement, Winnie. It's improvement. Hi from Phoenix.
Hi from Phoenix.
Dream team, prop team.
Hello.
What is going on, everyone? And or Jeffrey?
I mean, a lot. It's been fantastic. We had a wonderful night in the apartment last night. Made stew. The two of us put together the stew.
Yeah, I chopped.
Lynette did a
Everything.
fantastic prep work. Yeah, we did. It was really
All
good.
the stuff.
A good process.
Yeah.
Also made our broccoli puff, which is like a casserole.
Some of y'all know broccoli puff.
Yeah, topped by
I know
Cheez-Its.
some of y'all know it.
The stew went over well.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good.
Also
Just
crabbies.
fun times in Phoenix.
Yeah. Lots of fun times. We went to our nearby Italian restaurant on
Yes, there's
Friday night, which we loved.
leftover lasagna in the fridge.
I know, you just
said it,
remembered
I was
and
like,
you're
oh
like,
my God.
Remember something. I just remembered something.
Hello, Andreas from Denmark. Yeah. We have... I don't know.
A question of the day?
We have a question of the day.
Because...
okay, so basically, for those of y'all who have stewed upon this password... but stewed upon this password for the last 2 weeks, because we had to cancel last week, but it was the same clues, so let's recap that. Kitchens was the first clue. Loyal was the second clue. I was laughing to myself because after I posted kitchens as the first clue, I was like, you know what? I should have posted loyal as the first clue, kitchens as the second clue to distract, because some of y'all started thinking, oh, what if it's like the Hufflepuff common room? And I'm like, yes, throwing them off the scent. And then the last clue after loyal was servant, and there was some debate about like,
the word choice?
Is it it doesn't say servants plural, is it a specific house elf? And I was like, no! I actually have it. The paper literally is house elf. Ooh, as the password for today.
It didn't quite.
It loves your face. It just wants your face. House elf is the password for today. So the question of the day, how do you think we'll interact with house elves in Hogwarts Legacy? I started to make a poll, but I was like, no, I'll leave it for discussion purposes, so I'll open it up.
Is it true? You know, I know from the state of play, I can remember, and we've talked about, there's the store, and it seems to be run by a goblin, or we're meeting a goblin inside an inn or something. That is not Ranrock.
Yes.
And then we have the house elf, and his name is...
Deke.
Deek.
D-E-E-K.
Who
I always
seems
spell
critical.
it wrong. I spell it D-E-K-E.
Like he's gonna give us quests and stuff, and maybe we'll get some other side quests that are house elf involved.
Yeah, let's look through what people say, and I'll tell you my notes. So Almighty 3000 says, I don't know, but I'm going to the kitchen to find out. So that actually was one of the things that I wrote. So there is a shot in the state of play, and it's very like just passing through you, main character you. At least the main character from State of Play, that avatar, is walking through the kitchens. Given that, like, the way that they capture gameplay with the dev kit, they hide things. Like, you hide the UI, you hide, like, the things that can pop up that say interact. So it's more cinematic. Oh, it could be a cinematic, but it looked like character was walking through. But it didn't seem like you could interact with them. But that's not to say that you can't. So... kitchens could be a place, because I wrote to myself, what if there are some kitchen quests I don't know what that is, but maybe they teach
need a
you
special herb.
Yeah, but maybe they teach you also to make a special dish that you can chow down. Like, that gives
Beef
you
stew?
a boost. Yeah, beef stew.
That could definitely be a quest reward.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that
Where you
idea.
get, like, a recipe or something.
It could be
I don't
even
know.
multiple, where you keep going back and like, it got a new recipe for
Yeah,
me?
maybe you build a rapport with the house
elite head
elves,
chef.
and then they give you stuff because they like you. Can you refresh my memory of, like, so I know that we saw, especially with SPEW with Hermione, like, is it common? It's not common for kids to go into the kitchens, right? It didn't seem like it.
Yeah, the entranceway that Fred and George
you
know
tickle the
about
pear? Yeah.
seems to be a secret one, and I don't know that there's just a main one, like a main
Yeah,
entrance.
so I think we see
Presumably.
a portrait, especially with the gameplay showcase that just happened with a portrait where you might tickle the pear.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, there must be something that puts us into the kitchens, I guess is kind of my point. Like, since we're walking through and no one seems to, like, give us a second look, either it's like, oh, hey, it's the hero, or there's, like, we've already been through there once before, they know who we are, I don't know. That's something that I was thinking.
Can you highlight Alan's comment for a second? I didn't think about this. This would be very
companion?
interesting. Or a house elf companion.
Yeah,
or maybe a fantastic beast companion.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
Well, so, like, the Hogwarts house elves...
We know we can have beast mounts.
...are a little different. Because I was thinking about... I'm jumping all over the place. But I was also thinking about a character like Dobby. So we have characters in the Harry Potter stories. Yeah, so we have Dobby, there's Winky, Creature. There's also, I wrote down Hokey, who I always forget. So Harry doesn't meet Hokey, but looks through the memories. So, like, there's options for, like, named house elves rather than, like, generic
for sure.
sort of,
Deke.
like... Yeah, Deke clearly has a role in some...
That is going to be a kind of a main storyline. We even saw the book, the training book for Room of Requirement had its own section, which is not surprising.
Yes, in
but
the field
he
guide
seems like that'll be the main touchstone for that, I feel like. You keep going back to Deke, and maybe he's giving you most of the sort of quest.
Yeah. Well, so I bring up the other house elves as, like, kind of a contrast because those house elves they have a family that they serve. And so and we see it a lot with Winky, where, like, she doesn't want to reveal stuff, and then even Dobby gets like, so there's some sort of...
How old is Creature?
I don't know, but he's in the thumbnail, he looks pretty old.
Because we know there's a black.
Yes.
So maybe we will see Creature.
You think that he'll just be at Hogwarts?
I don't know, maybe he can just summon him. They can apparate there.
Maybe we break into Headmaster Black's house. Just kidding. So you're thinking we might actually see the actual creature if it's or like possible. An ancestor or something like that, possible. Baby creature.
It hadn't occurred to me, but it's not impossible. I wouldn't say it's likely.
Yeah. JP would love to learn to cook from house elves. See, this is what we're gonna get some stuff. Andreas wants to give them socks, so any house elf that you can, like, be the sneak like Harry. It's like, here's
sock.
And then movie Lucius wants to Avada you, so, watch out for a parent trying to... A wizarding
the
parent.
The most insane scene of all 8 movies is that one.
Yeah. Annette says,
right outside of Dumbledore's office.
Right. Just, no one's gonna notice.
Yeah.
They might have some dialogue, but I think it'll be mostly non-interaction.
Could be.
Quest or reasons to have to... Yeah, so there's probably... Based on what we've seen, like, this is, like, my tempering of expectations of it's not, like, talk to everyone has something extensive, which is not true
even
for
like Skyrim,
most
RPGs, there's a lot of
yeah.
NPCs that are just sort of like, have a good day there,
or like a
guy.
one and done, where it's like you do one thing for them and it's like they say the same catchphrase over and over and over. Like, what's her face?
Have a shiny day.
Lucan's sister, the Riverwood Trader, at this point she just says all this stuff where she, like, wishes that she could... I don't know.
Riverwood Trader's the game?
The In Skyrim. It's
in
the name
Skyrim,
of the...
in
Sorry.
Skyrim.
Oh,
I followed. I brought up Skyrim. I should have.
Wait, isn't the guy's name Lucan, the traitor? Skyrim players.
Lucian?
I think it's
Lucan?
Lucan.
All right.
That's probably why, because Lucan is the kid who...
Where's Zir?
No, I think Alexis also plays Skyrim.
Just gotta have some...
You, Jose, yes, we've seen a house elf in Hogwarts Legacy, so Deke is the one who, for whatever reason, leads us into the room of requirement. Well, okay.
Yeah,
It's actually Professor Weasley's in there with us. I went back and watched the state of play with the captions on just to
maybe the first
see.
time, and then like, hey, Deke's gonna
So
help
the
you get
second
organized.
time, right? So the second time we see Deke, he's like, "What's this? I guess we gotta go find out. Let's go figure
It's
it
gonna
out."
be great.
Yeah. So it's Deke has something. To what extent it's related to main story, or it's like mechanically, like Deke is kind of the guide to help us. Even though he might not know what's going on, but to help us figure out what is this room, how does it work.
I mean, and that
what
was
is
like
this
a
space?
pretty clear cutscene, it felt like. Because I feel that's going to be
Yeah.
part of the room of requirement. It's going to expand when you get this new item that's going to be placeable and like it will react to it. It's not like it's going to be a completely empty room and then you just place the stuff. We saw it explicitly for the vivarium, right? Where it's like, boom, and then you can go outside.
Yeah. Well, so the way that the narrator describes it, he describes it literally like the room of requirement. So I wonder if for the ingredients at the very least, or if like something new pops up and it's like, you know what your character would really benefit from? Dittany. Go make some healing potions or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember if I feel like Dittany goes in healing potions. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe at some point it's like, you know what your character can really benefit from? Some creature friends that you can like do more things. So I don't know like how in the like the meta-ness of the game, or not meta, because I'm sure they'll integrate it into the Harry Potter or Wizarding World kind of framing, but yeah, Deke seems to be... I don't know if Deke has any other role, I guess, is like another way of what I'm trying to say. It's
going to be a big role. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It'll be a big enough role that I think any other type of a quest will be with a different house elf. Yet to be named or seen, I think.
Yeah, I think if there is any sort of kitchen quest, it's going to be fun. Like, because even in, again, State of Play, that section where we're walking through, the narrator says something like... explore places you haven't been able to explore before or something like that, which is why I was thinking about the kitchens of like, oh yeah, kids, we don't know exactly a lot about the kitchens. We have those few scenes. We see Winky with the butterbeer. There's or Hermione trying to encourage them, but yeah.
Oh, there you go. Zox, I remembered.
Dittany. Oh, yeah. That's what Hermione used on Ron. When he was...
Accio Dittany. Are you a wizard or not?
A pocket-sized creature.
Little baby creature.
Yeah. Most house elves would be insulted by being given socks, so I have mixed feelings. If they don't want freedom, they wouldn't... then it wouldn't be freedom. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if we'll encounter house elves that have
Well, this
families,
is also
Alexis's
kind of...
Yeah.
response here.
Can students free?
It's not clear that it's not Harry giving a sock to Dobby. It's Lucius giving the sock to Dobby that frees.
Yes.
So I don't know what the relationship to Hogwarts house elves and like whatever their magical...
Do you think at this point in 1890 they have whatever... I can't remember the name of the... It's basically like the board of trustees. Like Lucius is on the governor's board or whatever it's called of Hogwarts.
The board of governors, I think.
Do you think that they have that?
I do.
Oh, man.
I will expect maybe a reference or two.
Who do you think? What if... So everyone...
A Potter is on it. That'd be fun.
A Potter is on it. Everyone is, in case you missed it, there was a Ravenclaw companion reveal. And yes, I am calling them the Ravenclaw companion. I'm not going to get into it.
Bold.
But Amit, so there's this little group, because there is the Poppy group, I think there's now this Amit is sus as our character. What if Amit's dad... Because I was saying, during the live stream when I was reacting, I was like, he has a high-end telescope. Do you think his family's rich? Was like my reaction to it. Could be a Malfoy situation. What if they have a house elf? And
Could be.
the house elf comes with the
he
person,
could just be
like Lucius
super nice
with
and
Dobby.
really into books, and then
I
he's
think
just
he's
like
fine. He's
yeah.
just, a little ahead of his, like, he has big dreams.
Ravenclaw.
Big dreams to do great things, and is like, yes, I'm going to make a difference and capture wizarding history. But
including us.
yeah. Oh, one more thing, actually. So we talked about the room of requirement, potentially room of requirement quest or walkthrough with Deke. Zeke is the
Deke's
name.
brother.
Zeke is the name of the MSU dog.
The dog, yeah.
The dog
that's
little.
right. Zeke the Wonder Dog.
Zeke the Wonder Dog. Kitchen quest, potentially. But in the Haunted Hogsmeade trailer, and y'all can let me know, because I feel like when we talked about this, we don't see, but there's a dialogue where our character says, why is your mistress wanting to sell the shop? And we hear a voice, and a lot of us thought that it was Madame Mason's house elf. So we might have, like, even if it's not and even in the Harry Potter story, like, Harry is with Dobby multiple times, and then Winky has kind of a different relationship, even though there is some important aspects to unraveling the mystery. It's not like Harry is having a lot of interactions with Winky. It's kind of just passing by,
Right.
So we might see house elves in that sort of sense, where it's you're in a quest, but it's kind of just part of the
maybe
context
they give you a
and
clue,
a little
or maybe
clue.
they're just nearby. Yeah.
Because they know, because they're there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll know secrets.
That character's name was Penny. It said it up there. Penny. Yeah. So
I like that name.
I feel like it's a house elf. I don't know. Remember, Alan says the rumor requirement looks relatively uncluttered. I mean,
well, this is the thing about the room requirement that I think is true. It actually has multiple instances of itself. And if nobody is in it, then whoever walks up, it creates the room. So hypothetically, because we know the room with all the stuff in it was there in Voldemort's time. Yeah. But then we also know by this book, it can also create the training room for the DA. Yeah. And then it is also... then by the 6th book, it can go back. So it's possible that the way we generate the room in 1890 could still hypothetically exist in Harry Potter's time and in others' time, but they would have to have need for it to enter it.
Yeah. So also, is it that you think if we're entering the room by ourselves versus we're entering the room with other people, that it would be different necessarily?
No, I think it's... whoever spawns the door. Oh. Whatever their need is.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's that other shot that looked like the room of requirement. Spawning it for where there are all the hanging lights, and it was just stuff everywhere. And I was like, okay, this is the room of requirement. But then it's just like, oh, hey, you have this section, and you have this other section, and then you have, I don't know, a house now that you get to, I don't know, raise Neasels in.
Now I'm like, my brain is all about Order of the Phoenix story now. I'm thinking about all that.
Yeah.
The room and so we could get into it, but we should pick a clue first.
We should pick a clue. Do you want to pick it?
I'll give it a shot. Let's see if I can. All right. Let me shut my eyes. There's more in there than I thought there was.
There are, and I don't know. Okay. I like that one. Join on Discord so that you can
clue
make your guesses.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Someone remind me if I don't remember tomorrow.
I'll have to think about it. Yeah.
I think it's
someone will tag you.
Just tag me. At this point, Matt's the theory password. It's time.
Avada Kedavra.
All right. Oh, wand's ready.
Wand's ready.
What do I do? I have my wand. It's always ready. What are you talking about?
We're into page 42. The Advanced Guard. Yes. Right. Today's lesson is called Best Kept Lawn Winners. So congrats to them. The chapter begins with Harry writing 3 identical letters and sending Hedwig to deliver them. The Dursleys leave the house and others enter. Lupin and real Moody lead a pack of witches and wizards to gather Harry and accompany him by broomstick to an unknown location. Once they arrive, Harry is given a bit of parchment declaring he is at the headquarters for the Order of the Phoenix.
Yes, Jeff literally wrote real Moody in the description for this for this recap. Oh my goodness.
Never really got around to teaching much, did I? And it's like, no, you were in a trunk for 9 months. How's your back?
Fine. Just, go back to Aura-ring. That's a hard word to say. Aura-ring.
I appreciate his willingness to get back out there.
Yeah. And not be like, oh, hey, I just got, captured. No problem. Stuffed in a trunk. I was mad at Harry at first, though. I know I understand his emotions right now, but I was mad at him for being mean to Hedwig, and he did feel guilty, so I forgave him. But I was just like, wait, that first few pages,
and he will apologize to her. I believe in the next chapter.
Well, yeah,
because I believe she will be there, and I think Ron or Hermione will talk about Hedwig's insistency. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I was mad at Harry for a little bit.
Here's what I want to talk about. Rather than I'll go back to your thing, but I was really contemplating the trace again.
For when Tonks did.
Tonks uses magic.
Yep.
In the presence of Harry.
Yes.
And my understanding later of how the trace works, when we learn a bit more, is that should have triggered the same thing. Well, because Harry's the only wizard around, so Harry must cast this stuff.
Wait, are you... Oh. No, so what this means, though, if this is true, then the trace can't possibly... it has the sensing... Okay, maybe. Okay, let me back up. Because I was going to say, the trace, supposedly, doesn't trace adults. It's the kid. No. It's the kid that's
the kid's presence.
That's
but they don't have to manifest the magic.
Right. Yes.
I believe that.
No. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Which means this should trigger it because
is that it's still not okay because you're still living in some sort of surveillance society where you have these tracker kids.
But my question is simply. Am I misunderstanding how it functions, or is there just some kind of interesting thing
I think that it tracks it, and I literally
why didn't he get more letters in and more trouble?
I literally think that there are people in the ministry who sort through, it comes through, and then they just log it, and then it gets tossed out. I think it's just a constant flow of something.
But wouldn't this cause the same situation that they are blaming Harry for...
No, but they know that there's wizards around because they're there. I think the trace...
You think it's so sophisticated that it knows there's other wizards nearby.
Yes, and I think that the ministry is probably lying about to what extent it automatically goes away.
So it may not know who casts it, but it knows there are
that there's an
wizards.
Adult in the presence of a young wizard.
This makes more sense.
Because this is what we talked about with the Malfoys or the Weasleys. They cast magic. Molly uses magic all the time to do stuff at home.
Correct.
It's not okay. They're okay.
And I believe Dumbledore winds up saying they just trust parents to.
Yeah.
If it was actually the kid casting something, that the parents will handle it. Mm. So there is not a differentiator on who casts the magic. That is not part of the trace. The only reason they can blame Harry is because the trace is saying Harry is the only possible wizard near here that could do this.
Okay, that was my understanding.
No,
but we also
agree.
have Darkshot who says, I always thought the trace was connected to the student's wand. So when the child casts magic, then they know it gets triggered. But when the student comes to age, the trace simply expires. How does this happen?
Well...
Is there a ceremony at Hogwarts where they're like, all right, kids, gather around, first years. Here's your anointing ceremony. You're going to be traced.
As soon as you turn 17, you just Avada the air.
The ministry lying? What?
Ministry.
Maybe Tonks' spell was too weak to track?
I'm already... Okay, this is probably years away because I believe it's book 6. But when we get to the chapter where Dumbledore describes how the trace works, I'll be interested to see where we're at then.
So this is interesting because... So the other thing is, what if there's different levels of clearance? So, like, what if, because you're an Auror, it's like, oh, whatever. Like, automatic discard. Or, like, it gets filtered out. You know, in emails, you filter out emails. That's what I'm imagining. Is just, like, constant... Like, magic is being done all over the wizarding world, you know? Yes. So, like, I imagine there's some sort of system, even if it's a magical system, it could be, like, there could be, like, a section where there's manual review of, like, oh, let's review this content or whatever. But maybe Aurors get exempt. I don't know. Yeah, it could be a rough I was thinking it was a GPS thing of, like, there's a thing where there's an aura around the child because you cast some weird spell that made the trace, which is really, really weird and sus. You're tracking kids, but okay.
It's like a radius. How big is the radius? Yeah, and
it's a radius, and if it's nearby, then there's a likelihood that it could be the kid or it could be someone else. So then you check. It's like, I'm imagining a magical algorithm. It's like, okay, spell was cast. What was the spell? Who else is nearby? Because it knows. It knew that there was a muggle in the presence of Harry. How did the trace know that? You know?
Well, we do know that the trace does get manipulated by Voldemort. Not only does it get changed so that it is tracking the use of his name, but also is applied to adults.
Yes.
But at least the Ministry is claiming, and I believe Dumbledore says the same.
That is proof that the Ministry is lying. It has to be proof that the Ministry is...
Or he changed it.
Or, what if the trace uses some form of ancient magic?
And it's just probably does.
It's just in the air at all times. They figured out how to tap in.
Somehow it's connected to, like,
they hack into the atmosphere, and it's like, okay, magical essence.
It's Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's Wi-Fi. JP also brings up that if it was linked to the wand, then Dobby using magic wouldn't have triggered it, because that's in Chamber of Secrets. That's what happened with the cake levitating, and it was like magic was in this household or whatever.
Charm. Yes.
Where Alexis is gonna blame Ollivander for bugging our wands.
I could see it.
It's just part of the wand lore. The Ollivander family made a deal
in order to secure the contract with the Ministry of providing extra wands.
They are in the Illuminati of the wizarding world. Wow. The Ollivander family.
You mean the unforgivable?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, also, so now we're getting into our little metaphysics of magic, I guess. I don't even know if that word makes sense. How does the spellotape on Ron's wand affect the trace? I think it's still on him. It's not on the wand. It's on everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
sure. It's a real mystery out there, and it is the dark one. Mm-hmm. How this spell works. Because I even thought, to Darkshot's point, my interpretation in Book 7 was that Voldemort altered the existing trace as opposed to creating his own.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it was a full replacement? Like, it was no longer tracing underage magic at all?
And then when they tried to reverse it, it's still, like...
It's just stuck with Voldemort?
Now it's just... No, not stuck with Voldemort, but, like, they can't remove the alteration of applying it to everyone. Because, yeah, what if Dumbledore... What if Dumbledore knows how to access ancient magic? I was thinking Voldemort. So if there is some sort of ancient magic
or at least
flavor to it, yeah. I don't know.
Very interesting.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
Harry is very, very stressed about, like, getting expelled. He's like, because he's like spiraling of like, what if they break my wand? What if they do that? But what's funny, I thought it crossed my mind, he knows about Hagrid at this point, right? That Hagrid was the whole Chamber of Secrets, the diary, and all of that. Like,
the wand.
What I was trying to think about is like, clearly Hagrid's living his best life, but Harry wants to be an Auror. He can't be an Auror if his wand is snapped, right?
Can we talk for a second about why is Hagrid's case not overturned? Because, like, now that we know that Tom Riddle, what Hagrid was saying, like...
Yes. Because Hagrid's too nice, and they're like, oh, no, we can't admit anything.
No, they can't.
Because then,
they send him back. They send him back, even though it was clearly not him the first time. Lucius, silly.
Oh, Alexis has an interesting idea about how the trace gets put on kids. The sorting hat, the sentient, weird sorting hat that was created by 4 witches and wizards.
Idea, because we had the conversation of like, is this a worldwide trace or how does it work? This is very possible. Yes, there could be some nefariousness.
I'm telling you, everyone's connected. They make these backdoor deals where they're like, okay, this is how it's gonna work now.
Lily does magic when she's young.
Yeah. I don't know.
The trace.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Or it's the algorithm. They're like, oh, is the kid like 11 years old yet? Or like it checks the database and it's like, oh no, don't care about you. We meet the Order.
Yeah, we do.
The Order of the Phoenix.
We do. Well, a bunch of new characters, some returning characters, Remus, most notably, but also Daedalus Diggle.
Well, what's funny is that like Harry knows like a couple people, but there's like all these witches and wizards like swarming Privet Drive, and he's just like,
Yeah.
Hi.
Our first introduction to Nymphadora Tonks, who prefers to use her surname.
Yeah, that line that Lupin replied back was really funny.
It was pretty icy,
so cute. I was just like, oh. So Lupin, Moody, Tonks, Kingsley, Shacklebolt.
Yep. Alpheus Doge.
Doge. I think it's Doge. I don't know.
Dogecoin.
Like Dogecoin. I don't know.
Daedalus Diggle, who we
yes.
met in, I think, the first book, right? Like when Harry first arrives in Diagon Alley with Hagrid. I believe he's one of the wizards who comes up to him and shakes his hand.
Well, I'm reading these names and I'm like, so I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I wonder, there's probably a list of all the characters in Harry Potter and the number of times that their name has been listed in the series. Because there are some people that are kind of just like...
yes, we played the Sporkle with the top 500 or whatever. It's
right.
really hard. I would recommend that to anyone who wants their Harry Potter knowledge to be pushed. It's just number of mentions.
Oh my gosh.
By name, the
you know
top
what'd be
500.
fun is if they like had I didn't even check because I haven't played Sporkle in a while. If they have a version of Sporkle that's kind of like Words on Stream where you integrate it with the chat
as a team.
And you play as a team, like that would be super fun. It's like, okay, let's try to name all 500 Harry Potter characters. Yeah, because they were ranked from like most named to least or most appearances or something like that.
I think it was that the name was said.
Yeah, written. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We also have Emmeline Vance. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because I will immediately forget her name after we finish this podcast episode. Sturgis Podmore, but that name is kind of like, because it sounds like Pottermore to me. Podcast. Podcast. Hey, Sturgis, you should start a podcast. The Podmore Podcast.
I agree.
And Hestia Jones. Those were the names that we saw. I don't think I missed anyone, right?
No,
I tried to write them down as I was like trying to read this morning.
I only remembered
a
couple,
okay.
so you even...
I wrote it down because I was not going to remember.
It is quite the gaggle. There's like 10 of them almost.
Yeah.
And I think it's an interesting moment. I mean, to have them all show up, to have so many, and then to have this sort of plan. It's very, very like...
Oh, yeah.
Militaristic.
I didn't write this down, but it was interesting because in my brain, like Moody is like explaining everything. So I'm like, oh, Moody's like the commander or whatever. He's the one that's calling the shots. But then when Moody was like, oh, we should like go back a few times, and Tonks was like, no, are you mad? And so I was thinking about the dynamic of like...
I'm not sure there's an official ranking.
Yeah.
It's more just maybe Moody is followed, but then eventually it was like, whoa.
But Tonks was clearly the youngest one in the group, so I thought it was cool that it was just like, okay, well, she is an Auror. Like,
she's really strong.
Yeah.
And she was like I think she was his mentee at some point. Maybe I might be making that up, but I think so.
I think
it's nice to have Lupin back.
Yeah.
He's a calming influence on the group.
Yeah, he's just, there. He's chill. Well, he has to deal with his own stuff, so he's just kind of,
Yeah, book 3 was a little wild.
There's no reason to be like overly over the top when you're dealing with your own stuff, you know?
But it's a nice moment for Harry where it's like, Lupin. I always laugh at the thing where Moody's like, are we sure it's the real him? And they use this like pass question basically. Yeah. But it's in front of everyone, so now like you can't ever use that question again.
No.
They need
also,
2FA.
I was thinking like, okay, so does nobody else know that Harry Potter's Patronus is
That's
a
what
stag?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't use that anymore.
Well, but
plus
even still, before then, I don't know.
I would think so.
You have the chosen one. You know, there's some like bard.
Well, we know actually in this book.
Harry
I
Potter.
think Luna Lovegood or somebody brings it up. Like, did you get a corporeal Patronus? I don't know if they know the form, but yeah, then they do.
Yeah, yeah. For Tonks, I think being a Metamorphomagus would be fun.
It would be epic.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, okay, being an Animagus, okay, but to be able to change your appearance in like fun ways or silly ways or serious ways, like it has a lot
without the energy.
Yeah, and plus then you're like a whole cat or whatever your Animagus form is. I'm sure, I imagine like playing a druid, because there are certain things I can't do because I'm a polar bear, can't fit through doors, you know.
You're a little rat, you can't jump from ship to ship.
I can't jump. Oh, that was a funny episode.
That was funny.
Oh my goodness.
That was pre-stream, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting moment. I mean, it really pulls you into the world at large of saying like, oh, it's for the first time, you know, Harry's been isolated, and we know Dumbledore was doing these things and like getting the old gang back together, but to actually see it and play this soon into the book it's intense. It feels intense.
Yeah.
And the next chapter will continue that intensity of like, oh, these people are taking this very seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Harry eventually will see, even though this book has a lot of Harry frustration for good reason. Like, putting yourself in his shoes, like, yeah, I would also be frustrated over and over in this book. But I think that it's not like no one is doing anything. Like, I think like he's going to start to see some more of the, you know, people have been working, even though you haven't seen it. They have been working this whole time, working together, trying to do stuff, and people do care, even though you don't visibly see it. Like, there is stuff going on.
It expands the world quite a bit. It is that nod to, like, oh, these are a bunch of wizards that, like, some we didn't ever see named before.
It's not just
some
Dumbledore.
We never really see again named. Yeah. But there's an organization to it.
It reminds me, so now you made me think about, especially because I pulled for the thumbnail, I pulled the Tonks, Moody, and Kingsley from Wizards Unite, those foundables. Mm-hmm. So also on that page is Gethsemane, and I feel like it's that event where she says to, I don't even know who she says it to, Constance or Harry or somebody.
Some people weren't allowed in the order, but we were still doing things.
Yes, yes. And it was interesting because I was like, I don't know how I should read this. Like, what am I? Because at first, you know how I am. I'm like, Gethsemane is still a follower of the Dark Lord. You know, that was my first reaction.
She still might be.
And then I was like, no, because even with the Ravenclaw person, Amit, people are like, oh, he doesn't have important things because he's not going to battle. And I'm like, but people have different roles, especially if you have something as massive as like an evil wizard dictator trying to come into power and make everyone obey him. You have Aurors, but you also have other people who are trying to. You have people who are spies. You have people who are, like, saboteurs. You have people that are in these different pockets or industries that help out.
It's fought on many fronts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I didn't remember that until you brought it up again. Yeah. That was an interesting moment, her reaction. The boldness of being like, yeah, okay, well, we did things too, you know?
Well, especially because I imagine there's also the visibility of like the heroism of being like the Order of the Phoenix. Like, you have this cool name, first of all, and you're visibly like on the field fighting versus like, hey, but like a lot of people helped make this come to be. But nonetheless, they're still very cool people.
And then I think last but not least is this best kept lawn winners.
Oh my god.
And Harry, that's my favorite sentence. It stuck with me for many times of just this, like, he imagined for a minute, like, the Dursleys and Vernon's face when he realized it wasn't a real thing.
Well, it's also
and then when Harry was
ridiculous.
gone when he got back.
You know something, so as former homeowners, I think, like, it would be interesting for us to, like, dive into, like, the development of lawns. Like, you know, like, how did this become part of, like, cultural, I don't know, value of, like, people keeping yards and lawns and making it look a particular
to each other,
way.
apparently, through this, yes.
So I would love to, like, read more about that or listen more about that development over time. But yeah,
it's just
it's
a
funny.
One.
It's
It's just, yeah.
And, you know, like, you know that he was proud. You know, Vernon was like, oh, yes, like, another thing. Because if there was some sort of award, he would probably display it, like, in the front, like, window where neighbors walking by could see, or I don't even know. So, yeah, it's classic Dursleys, you know? Just so them.
But it was a pretty short chapter, but a big chapter, because we have now changed locations. We are no longer at Privet Drive.
Yeah. And Harry reads the little piece.
Grimmauld
And it's
Place.
about to get burned up in a hot second. Harry's just like, what? This is my favorite part about Harry Potter. And I feel like even though young Daniel Radcliffe, like, sometimes we make fun of, like, how I'm a what? You know, that sort of thing. But it really is. Like, these people are shoving stuff in his face, like, here, read this, look at this,
that
do
one
that,
gets memed,
you know?
But how would you react at 11 if somebody told you this and they were dead serious and it was true?
You're a wizard.
I'm sorry, what?
Pardon me. All right, well.
Yes.
That's all that we have, I think.
Okay.
Come back next week for
Grimmauld Place.
Grimmauld Place.
Expelliarmus.